Again, I just want to remind, Peter's going to be taking names, he's facilitating names while I'm speaking. No, not for that. Someone had asked me what my job is as a volunteer coordinator. I'm not going to take that time now to do that unless if you all want it, but I have the job description here, and you can take a look at it. I have it with me. You can take a look at it any time. But because this is quite a task, I've already talked with the people that are on the advisory committee about the most important things I wanted to do first, and they agreed. And that basically was to advocate and help with the healing of the KGGV volunteers, and also with the training and getting new volunteers. Not training to do shows, but training to understand how to be a successful volunteer. And that's not said in any disrespect to talking about it. Okay, there are some openings. We do need, and I'm just going to mention it, we need someone to do the dailies. That hasn't been done. And if that's something you need more information about, you can give me a call or send me an email. My telephone number is 869-9954, and my email address is a long one. It's in the studio, but it's Mr. Russian River Leather 2008@yahoo.com. Also, there is at the meeting that we had in, I think, January or February, I had volunteered to take the lead for the Sisters Bingo. Okay, originally at that meeting we were told it was March 8th. It's not. Once I got all the material, it's July 13th. And so I sent an email stepping down from the lead. I don't know if everybody got it, because I'm expected to have some surgery this summer, and I just won't have the energy to put into that. So we're looking for a lead. There's a couple of people who have volunteered to help on it, but we need someone to take the lead to work with the sisters. Again, if that interests you, let me know. What's that?
Fundraising events coordinator.
Oh. Okay.
But that doesn't mean someone else can't sign up for it.
Okay. Well, if no one signs up for it, Kit's going to be taking it on. So we really could use some help on that. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the station manager opening. As you heard earlier, Don's last act as a station manager was to call the meeting to order and to introduce me. What does the station manager do? Again, you can contact myself or the liaison, Megan, or even Kit, and go over the job description of the, hold on, let me just finish, of the station manager. And again, it's sort of like, we're looking for a temporary right now so that we can do, once we get back moving, we're going to have an election. So we're looking at putting someone maybe for 2 or 3 months, just like the PC chair rotates, so that people can get a different feel of what it would be like if they wanted to be the station manager. Question.
All right, are we allowed to vote for these positions or not?
What, the station manager?
Well, the station manager and other jobs as well.
Well, the Davies is someone that just volunteers to do it. I can imagine. Let's change the subject.
I think what I would say is I think some of the problems in the structure seem like it's already been created. The jobs, the job descriptions and so forth. And we don't really have a lot of buy-in with this with people, so it doesn't sound very democratic. And so I think that that's the problem when we're trying to allocate the jobs. I mean, if this is going to be a top-down kind of management thing of this is what's going to happen and this is, you got to volunteer for it or something, I think that's a problem. So I think that people are kind of feeling, that's what I think that question comes from, is do we have say into how this structure is even set up?
So your question is about the democratic process?
Right, about the structure of what we're doing.
just wanted to get that clear. Kids going to answer that.
The station manager position is one that we will hope will be as a result of an election. But with Don's sudden departure, the idea was that perhaps there'd be another person that would be willing to be as an acting manager until which time there could be an election. According to the church bylaws, the church council appoints the people to the advisory committee. However, the appointing process has been that anybody who has come forward and volunteered to do any of these jobs has been therefore appointed to them. I mean, it's not like there's a lot of competition for them. But also, these descriptions, job descriptions and things he's referring to are not current or new. These are things that he's pulled out of the old volunteer handbook or something like that, and there may be revisions made to those sometime.
Follow.
So the advisory committee and the structure of the station, if I'm trying to understand this, is governed by the church bylaws? Is that what you're saying?
The church bylaws states, and this is actually the law, the tax law as well, the church council.
I can't hear you. Can you speak up just a little louder?
That the church council is the board of directors of the radio station. Then it's, the church bylaws say that the church council can appoint an advisory committee to do, that will be people who will operate the station. This is where the term operations came. We've changed the name. It's not an operations committee anymore, it's advisory committee. And the reason that the wording was changed is because that's the wording in the church bylaws, and it does show that in the term advisory that there is someone above that, which is the church council, which was not clear to people before.
Milo, then I want to get to Natasha.
I think it's a problem in that if it's a top-down structure like that, people don't have power, they don't have authority, and so I think it's a problem for people willing to donate their time when they're kind of being ordered what to do.
So let me ask you a question. This is how it was before, only instead of saying advisory board, it said operations committee. How is it different?
And before that, it said executive committee.
And before that, it said
Right,
executive committee.
right, and I think that the people, everybody involved had some buy-in into how that was set up. So that has been recently changed, name-wise, to advisory committee, and in the spirit of not having, what I'm trying to figure out is how do we get people to do these things and to not have acrimony and resistance. And I think that the top-down nature of how it sounds makes it so people resist. And that's what I think we're feeling from Natasha, feeling from Wayne. I'm getting that feeling myself, like I'm being told that this is how it's going to be. I mean, Hunter is trying to be nice about how he's saying that we're being told, but we're being told. And as volunteers, nobody wants to be told how to do things if you're going to volunteer. If you want people to give their time and help you raise money and get the community involved and get our friends involved and everything, they got to buy into it. They got to feel like it's their thing. If it's not their thing, and if it's your thing, the church council, I'm not saying you personally, if it's the church council's thing, then you might not get people to do it. I'm just saying from my perspective, when I'm sitting over here trying to be a liaison between us and them kind of thing, is it sounding like it's going to be difficult. It's making me kind of recoil, and I'm trying to be open to it.
Can you let me respond to that? Natasha's been waiting. And I speak very strongly as an advocate for all the volunteers. That's the structure that's set up. All the people on it, even though they were appointed, because we've got to get the radio station back going again, that doesn't mean they're going to stay in it. And anybody else, if they're interested in the position, can contact any of these people that are on the advisory committee that they're interested in that position. Also, the other thing I wanted to say is we can advocate for you. if you said to me, you know, I really want to be the station manager, then let's talk about it. This is what they're expecting. Then you get your name over to the council so that by law, they have to approve it. But still, we have input into it by the discussion.
But this is what's bothering me, and I think this is what's bothering us all along. You keep saying by law. We get to decide what we're going to do here with each other. If you can make a law and say there's a law, then we have to help you. We don't have to help you. That's the reality. We don't have to help you. You got to get us to do it. You got to get these volunteers to help. So I'm saying that it seems like we keep saying it's some kind of rule from on high that's coming down on us, and it seems it doesn't seem right. It kind of reeks. I'm just saying.
Milo, you belong to other volunteer organizations?
I do.
They don't have boards of directors?
They do.
But you don't oppose the fact that they have a board of directors?
But there's a level of transparency in that board of directors that we don't have. In those other organizations, we get to elect those board of directors. We have no power with the community church council. That's elected by somebody else.
It's elected by the congregation of the Guerneville Community Church, which holds the license to KGGV.
Absolutely, I understand that. But
we are elected by the people who hold this
I understand, but you just asked me a question and I answered your question. And the other organizations that I belong to, the people in the organization elect the board of directors.
And they do here too. The Guerneville Community Church elects the board of directors.
But they're not the ones that you're asking to do all this volunteer stuff. It's us.
We are giving you the airwaves. We are giving you permission to come in here and have radio shows and be on the air, and you have a choice. You can be part of that radio station collective. You can help raise money for it. You can have shows and be on the radio. No one's making you. No one's making you do anything. This structure has been the structure from day one. This has always been the structure. We called it different things. There was the radio station committee, which was people on the church council. There was the operations committee. There was the executive committee. But it's always been that the congregation elects the board of directors. The board of directors does not want to do all the day-to-day operations of the radio station. There is a group of people who are in charge of doing that, and they report to or advise the church council. It has always been that way, even if for a short period of time the rules were broken.
Wait. Okay.
I'm happy to let Milo continue, but I'm supposed to be talking after him. Thank you.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Why does it feel different?
I don't know. I don't know.
It feels completely different. Natasha.
Okay, it feels different because it is different. You can't have revisional history here, Kit. This is not true, what you're saying there. You can get mad at me, I don't care at this point. What I said before is true. We formed an unintentional collective because we needed to. We lost our station manager because his actual life got interfered with being the station manager, and he didn't have time to come and participate. So instead of moaning about it, we said, well, we will have an election at the end of December, which was normally when we had elections here for station manager, not appointed by anybody.
Station manager is elected.
Was elected. So during the time between when Bruce Robinson stepped down and when you had the meeting on the 31st of January, we had, as I said, an unintentional collective where people stepped up, KGGVers, both programmers and community members, stepped up to do the work, to keep the money coming in, to keep the station working. Everything was going along beautifully. People in town, if they saw me, oh, KGGV, I love KGGV, here's $20. Or, oh boy, I'm looking forward to coming to that because I like to contribute to KGGV. This was not run by the church. Yes, the church has the license, but we as KGGV volunteers created the entire thing from the top down as far as station manager, program committee, the handbook, the volunteer agreement, the program applications, the this, the that, the that, the this. This was all created. And I can tell you it's a hell of a lot of paper, even though we were assured with computers that we weren't going to have paper. Angie has just taken over as the chair of the program committee from me. I was given all of this paperwork from Scott Kirshner, and I'm telling you, what, 50 pounds easily? And she finally has all of it, and I'm quite sure that the volunteer agreements we were discussing earlier are in there, along with stuff that you can burn in the bonfire, which would not have anything to do with what's going on with KGGV. But what Milo is saying and what others are pointing out that you don't seem to understand is volunteers are volunteers. If you appoint some people over us to tell us how to manage the things that we've been doing perfectly fine without that extra layer, all you're going to get is pushback. Okay?
Thank you, Natasha. I want to get two other hands are up, the gentleman and then Megan.
Okay, the whole thing is resolved to conflict. The model comes to my mind is, why not a bicameral thing? We have our proposal, they have theirs, we point conference, just like do a Capitol Hill, and they work out, they compromise, and it's brought back to each body to vote on. And see if we can do it that way. In other words, this is the House, that can be the Senate. We've come to a resolution of what we want, meet with the other body, and they hash it out. And then you go back to each body and see the full committees, the full volunteers agree with it or not. So everybody would have a right to vote on the final thing, but there should be a meeting and not the estrangement and argument. Let's try to bridge that gap. The bridge we are. To bridge, let's cross. No bridge is too far for freedom of speech.
Megan?
The other Megan, sorry.
I wondered if the church council would consider allowing the DJs to vote on who would be the advisory committee or the advisory board and either accepting or not accepting those votes.
I think that's the way it was.
And I feel at this point, we are rubber stamping anybody who will do anything. You know, it's not a matter of, you're welcome to elect somebody else to do the job I volunteered to do. I will hand it over just like you did.
What I'm saying is if people put their names in the hat, it may only be one person, it may be 4 people, it may be 5 people for different things. But we sit down and we each get a vote. And in the end, we as DJs and the volunteers feel like we have had a say in what's going on and we have elected people. The church council still has the ability to say, yes, we accept this or no.
And what if, like in December, you fail to do that? You announced elections for December for station manager and you did not elect someone.
Well, there were a lot of things
You
that
changed the date of the
December,
meeting.
so.
Okay, before you, Megan, sorry, let me get you now, then Megan, then I want to say something, then Natasha.
This is one of the things I talked about very, very, very early on, was how do you get a position?